Just watched SoPal's video on useful retards. Sorry, did I just use a trigger word? Yeah, I did. But would it help you to know that I consider myself a retard? Probably not. You'd probably still be pissed at me for using that. And rightly so. Anyway, useful morons, retards, whatever. I think that you're getting closer to where I stand on this issue, but you're not 100% there, in my opinion. And again, that's my flawed opinion, which I think the correct thing to do before you state, this is my opinion or this is my view, it always helps to put the word flawed in front of that, because at the very least, you're admitting that you are biased and stupid, for lack of a better word. And not just you, me too. I'm biased and stupid as well. And I think it's important to start every discussion, especially when you're going to be talking about trigger terms, to start every discussion with, this is my limited, biased, stupid point of view on things. Because it is limited to what your own perceptions are able to perceive. Your own brain is able to perceive, and your own emotions are able to handle, and your own experience has been exposed to, and all that stuff. Admit that you don't have the truth, 100% of it. Admit it. And that tends to be one of the biggest problems with human beings, and that just ties into pride. Not only are our perceptions wrong, but we're too prideful to admit it. Which is the bigger problem? That our perceptions are limited, or that we're too prideful to admit that our perceptions are limited? You guys should really watch The Ballad of Buster Scruggs if you haven't seen it already. One of the stories in it, it's not about this at all. It's just a conversation that a man and a woman have during one of the stories. It's kind of like a Quentin Tarantino movie where like the dialogue is just as important as the themes in the movie and as the plots in the movie. Like the plots and the dialogue don't always have everything to do with one another. Like for example, in Pulp Fiction, when John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson are driving around, they're talking about Royale with cheese. They're talking about why they don't have a quarter pounder in Europe. Well, because they got the metric system over there. They don't use pounds unless they're talking about money. But they wouldn't know what a quarter pounder is, so they call it a Royale with cheese. Like, what did that conversation have to do with the plot of the movie? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Zero. It's just an interesting thing to talk about. And Quentin Tarantino is smart enough to put that conversation in there that had nothing to do with the plot, because it made it a more real movie where people are just driving around in a car together and they're talking about interesting things that have nothing to do with what they're getting ready to go do. In fact, the fact that they were talking about that probably indicates that they're trying to get their mind off of what they're about to do so they don't think about it too much. Like they're getting ready to go kill a guy. But they're not talking about how they're going to kill a guy. They're talking about a Royale with cheese. But anyway, I'm not going to belabor that point anymore. The reason why I'm talking about that is because that's what makes the movie authentic. But in the movie Ballad of Buster Scruggs, this movie about, or this story, like there's 6 different stories in the movie. So it's like 6 short films into one film. And it's the one where they're traveling up the Oregon Trail. They're going to Oregon. And the man and a woman are talking, and they have this really interesting conversation. And the conversation they have, they're talking about their beliefs and all this stuff. And the guy says to the girl, he says, I think the life that we live, this life that we live, I think it's one of the most important things that you can do. And I'm paraphrasing because I don't know the exact words that he said, but he said one of the most important things that you can do is admit that nothing is certain in this life. and she agreed with him. Nothing is certain. That's a very profound statement. And again, it had nothing to do with the plot, but it was a very profound statement. It was interesting. And that's how they bonded. That's one of those things that they bonded on together, was that they both agreed that nothing is certain in this life. So in other words, your mind should be open to correction at any point in time. And it's a very humbling, difficult thing to do, by the way. Humble is the opposite of proud, right? And for us to allow ourselves to be corrected by other people is it's such a difficult thing to do. And the more you invest in your point of view, like if you became the leader of an organization, a political organization, you became the leader of a religious organization, you were highly invested in your point of view at that point. And the more invested you are monetarily, the more invested you are with your reputation, the more work you've put into that point of view, the more apt you are to not want to back off that point of view, even if you deep down are starting to realize that you're wrong. It takes a big man or a big woman, however you want to put it, to admit that you were wrong. Or to at least say, maybe I wasn't 100% wrong, but I was wrong about this, this, and this aspect of my point of view. But the bottom line is, before you even form your point of view, you should ask yourself, is my point of view a radical point of view that basically says that all of these types of people are bad, or all of these types of people are good? All Republicans are right, all Democrats are wrong, all Democrats are right, all Republicans are wrong. I never vote for a Democrat. I never vote for a Republican. Why don't you never vote for them? Well, because they're all wrong. They're all idiots. Oh, okay. Are you sure that your extreme point of view is really in line with reality? Going back to Sopal's, and I know he doesn't necessarily hold this point of view, but he's talking about something that people tend to say a lot. If you're young and you're not a liberal, it's because you don't have a heart. And if you're old and you're not a conservative, then it means you have no brain. Well, that's sort of an observation that we have, but really, if that were true, then it would just be old people voting against young people all the time. And it would be like, okay, how many people came out to vote? Oh, we had more old people come out to vote this time, therefore the Republicans won. Or we got out the vote really, really strong in the young people sector, therefore the Democrats won, because we had more young people who have so-called hearts that voted this way. It's the pendulum swings. It's going back to the pendulum swings of society being too conservative, society being too liberal, society being too permissive to society not being permissive enough. All this back and forth. Choosing sides, hating the other side, making broad generalizations about the other side. All gay people are this, all straight people are this, all blacks are this, all whites are this, all men are like this, all women are like this. Unfortunately, that's how human beings are. But the only way we're going to get ourselves out of this mess is if we transcend to a higher consciousness, which is that both sides have good points and both sides have bad points. And the more you jump on the bandwagon, the more you're accepted to toe the line for both the good points and the bad points. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you blind yourself to the things that are wrong with your party, things that are wrong with your ideology, the things that are wrong with your religion, the things that are wrong with your group that you're in? Why would you willingly blind yourself and make excuses for the people in your own party, in your own group, who give a bad name to your group. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you try to oust those people and say, yes, I agree. Trump is an idiot when it comes to this, this, and this. But I agree with this, this, and this. Why can't anybody say that? Why can't people say, like, I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody else, but it's really something that I'm trying to make an effort toward doing. I mean, I voted for Trump, but a lot of things bothered me about the man and still bother me about the man. In my opinion, he needs to get his thumbs cut off because he tweets every stupid thought that comes into his brain. But I can't deny the fact that our economy was doing incredibly well under him. I can't deny the fact that he was all about not getting into conflicts with other countries. I can't deny the fact that Putin waited until Trump was out of office before he attacked Ukraine. That's just a fact. Putin took over the Crimean Peninsula under Obama, and then he did nothing under Trump, and then he attacked Ukraine as soon as Biden got out in office. Do you think that's just a coincidence? No. I think Putin was afraid to attack Ukraine. He was afraid to make any advancements in Europe when Trump was in office. I think he was afraid to do it. I think that, I think that's my flawed point of view. It's my perspective. Now, if you guys want to come up with information that says I'm wrong, I'll be willing to listen to it. But to paint somebody as all bad or all good, to take sides when you don't know what the hell you're talking about, like I said last time, like in that last video, I'm not going to sit here and wave my yellow and blue flag and support Ukraine until I know all the facts. I'm just not going to get involved in it. I'm not going to support that one point of view over another. I mean, I have friends who actually are rooting for Russia. They're few and far between, but I do have some friends who are like, yeah, man, fuck Ukraine. I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, well, that's a point of view I'd be interested in hearing about, because most people are just, virtue signaling and, driving around with yellow and blue flag bumper stickers and saying, down with Putin. I'd be curious to know, why are you rooting for Russia and all this? And then they give me some, the whole history between Ukraine and Russia and how Russia's being threatened by NATO, and they think that, blah, 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 and it's like a proxy war. It's like, okay, maybe you're right about a few things. I don't know. But, and all the people who think that, the riots in Ferguson were justified, but the riot at the Capitol wasn't justified. How about no riots are justified? How about that? How about we say that? How about anybody storming anything, whether it's the U.S. Capitol or it's a Wendy's on Martin Luther King Boulevard in downtown St. Louis, and taking it over and, threatening people's lives or doing stupid stuff? How about all that is wrong? How about we come to that conclusion? How about there's nothing that you can say or do to justify you blocking ambulances or lighting buildings on fire or storming down through a government building and stealing stuff and kicking stuff over and scaring people? How about none of that is justified? How about we come to that conclusion? But, nobody wants to listen to people in the middle, because there's nothing that's super flamboyant about my beliefs. There's nothing exciting about it, There's nothing exciting about a guy who just says, How about we listen to the other side? Yeah, there's nothing exciting about that. There's nothing exciting about saying, well, Democrats have a point about this, but the Republicans have a point about that, and you guys should get together and, you know, realize that both of you moving toward the center would be a good thing, as opposed to both of you doubling down and moving in opposite directions, and then just seeing who can raise more money and get more votes to get their way. Like, we're going to get our own way, and the only way we're going to get our own way is by moving more in that direction and raising more money and writing more legislation that's just more and more extreme in one area or another and forcing people to do this, this, or this. Both sides do it, and it's wrong. It's morally reprehensible. I mean, you either want the government telling you what you can and can't do, or you don't want that. It doesn't matter what the government's telling you to do. You either want that or you don't. You can't say, I want the government telling us what to do as long as they're not telling me what I can and can't do with my own body. If the government tells me what I can and can't do with my body, I have a problem with that. But I don't have a problem with the government telling people that they have to have a certain number of black people attend Harvard, or I'm okay with the government telling stores that they have to have a third bathroom for transgender people. You can't be for big government in one way. You can't be for government to have the ultimate control over people in one way, but not to have the ultimate control over people in another way. If you want the government to stay out of your womb, then the government should also stay out of businesses. Just be for big government or be against it. But realize that if you want big government, you want government telling you what to do, then the government's going to be telling you what to do with all kinds of shit. They're going to be telling you what to do with your body. They're going to be telling you what you can and can't do with your business. They're going to be telling you what you can and can't do with your own house, with your own kids. They're going to be telling you all that shit. So you either want that or you don't. You either want personal freedom or you don't. And if the bakery down the street doesn't want to make a cake for you because they don't want to make a cake for gay couples, then boycott them. Boycott them. Don't use their bakery. But what you can't do is tell the government, hey, you need to shut that business down. And if Target wants to sell clothes that are pro transgender kids, then boycott them. Don't shop there. But what you can't do is you can't tell the government to shut Target down. You can't tell the government to shut Bud Light down because they have a transgender dude on their cans. The government can't shut them down. Just boycott them. Don't buy their shit. That's how your voice should be heard, is through boycotts. Because you are exercising your right as a consumer to either shop there or not shop there, to either buy their products or not buy their products. You don't want NFL players kneeling during the national anthem, then don't watch NFL games. It pisses you off that people get political on the NFL, then don't watch NFL games. Don't buy NFL jerseys or whatever, all the other swag that NFL sells. Don't buy their pennants, don't buy their posters, don't buy any of this stuff. Don't buy their beer mugs. Just don't buy it. Just don't support them. But you can't tell them what they can and can't do, because they can kneel during the national anthem. They can do that. And they do that. You can't tell them that they can't do it. The only time that you can really make demands like that is when people are doing things that physically threaten you or physically threaten your loved ones. you know. But then again, if somebody physically threatens you, then you have the right to do physical damage to them, right? You come up to me and physically threaten me, I have the right to punch you in the nose or shoot you or whatever I need to do to defend myself. But now we're getting into abstract versus concrete. Like, that's a concrete threat. But people feel threatened abstractly. Like, you threatened me because you said you looked at me a certain way. Okay, I looked at you a certain way, but I didn't threaten you. I didn't break into your house. Or I wore a t-shirt that offended you, so you felt threatened. Like, dude, now you're threatening my freedom by telling me I can't wear a certain t-shirt. Or I can't, use a trigger word. I mean, we either have free speech or we don't. Free speech has its freedoms. It has its limitations. You can't threaten somebody with your speech. You can't say, I'm going to come to your house and kill you and your family. I'm going to burn down your house, or I'm going to come to your place of business and shoot it up, or I'm going to kick you in the balls, or whatever you're going to say. You can't, again, you can say that, but that's an arrestable offense. But I'm a little bit more libertarian than the average person. Like, if you want to call me a honky or a cracker, I think you have the right to do that. But I have the right to, not go into your place of business anymore because you call me a honky or a cracker. I think that you have the right to say we don't serve white people here, or we don't serve men here. I do think that you have the right to do that. We don't serve men. I mean, there's plenty of 55 and older communities that say we don't allow people, 35-year-olds with 6 kids, to move into our neighborhood. I mean, that's technically you're discriminating when you do that, aren't you? Aren't you discriminating against people under the age of 55 in a 55 and older community? Of course you are. If they have the right to do that, then I think businesses have the right to say we don't serve your kind here. But that's really a controversial issue. I don't think it's a nice thing to do. Just like calling a black person the N-word, I don't think that's a nice thing to do. And I think you can get your ass kicked for that, and I think you should get your ass kicked for that. But I don't think it should be against the law. I mean, laws are made to be broken anyway. It's like you make a law against something, it's like people are like, oh, I didn't even know that was an issue, but now there's a law against it. Now I feel like violating that law. Now I'm tempted to go out and violate that law now that I know it's a law. I think there was something at the Jefferson Memorial where there was a sign that said no dancing at the Jefferson Memorial. And then as soon as they put that sign up, you're not allowed to dance. What do you think people started doing? They started filming themselves dancing in front of it because it's such a ridiculous thing. It's like when back in the 1800s, like certain counties in the South or whatever said that it was illegal to have anal sex. I don't know how do you how do you enforce that law? What are you going to do? Well, the sheriff's going to be stopping by your house later on tonight. Oh, yeah? Why's that? Well, because you and the missus usually like to get it on Friday nights between 8 p.m. and 8:30 p.m., so the sheriff's going to have to observe you with you. Oh, yeah? Yeah, we got to make sure that there's no anal penetration happening during that time. Okay, yeah, come on by, Sheriff. Bring your camera. Bring your video camera. Bring your... You can bring your sketch pad too if you want to make some drawings of me and my wife, and I'll make sure that we don't do any anal penetration during that time because it's against the law. And that's the only way you can enforce it is if you're there watching us. People think the government has power to enforce things, and I mean, they don't. Another thing that I think is funny is people think that cops should be rational all the time. It's like you got a guy who's high on cocaine or something like that, and he's charging you and he's coming after you, but he just happens to be coming after you with a fake plastic knife, or he's coming after you with something that looks like a knife but it's not a knife. Well, how much time do you have to consider everything? There's this dude coming at me. He's running at me. I told him to freeze. He didn't freeze. He's coming at me. Told him freeze or I'll shoot. He didn't. He kept coming at me, so I shot him. Well, we realized a couple minutes later that he had a plastic water gun. Well, that's too bad. Too bad for that guy. Too bad for the guy who got shot. I told him to freeze. Well, who do you think you are? You're a cop. You can't just bark orders at people. Yeah, actually, I can bark orders at people. That's kind of what my job is to tell people what they can and can't do in certain situations. And if you want to comply, it's a good idea to comply. And if you don't want to comply, then you're risking getting killed because you didn't comply. Yeah, but the kid was only 12 years old. Well, I didn't know that. He was 6 feet tall. He was big for his age. I told him to stop. He didn't stop. Certain things happen, and it's just, lightning strikes, and lightning doesn't strike very often, but every once in a while lightning hits somebody, and it was just a bad combination of things. And maybe the kid's parents should have raised him better, told him to respect police officers, listen to police officers. Maybe his parents should have raised him that way, and because they didn't, he ended up getting killed because he thought that he didn't have to listen to police officers. I don't know. Yeah, but that happens to black people a lot more often, so that means that cops are racist. Does it really? Does that mean that cops are racist, or does it really mean that black people aren't raising their children to be respectful toward police officers? Does it just mean that the majority of black children who are raised aren't raised correctly to be respectful toward police officers? They're told to look at police officers like they're the enemy, as opposed to they're somebody who they should comply and listen to and obey. But that comes down to us being able to have an honest discussion about these things. And it's very difficult to have an honest discussion. And why is it difficult to have an honest discussion? Because our biases get in the way. And we're very, very, very worried and concerned about being called racist. We don't want to even make it look like we're racist. Or even though we're not racist, we don't want to make it sound like we're racist. The last thing we want to do is sound racist. So we stay away from entire subjects, or we have to walk on eggshells around certain things, and we can't call things for what they are. We have to say, well, maybe, maybe you're right. Maybe white people do need to, chill out about this or that. And, it's like, that's not really how you feel. You don't feel that way, so don't say it. Stand up for something. Let people call you a racist when you're not a racist, because that's their perception. It's unfortunate that that's their perception, but what are you going to do to change their perception? You're gonna sit there and pretend like you don't have the actual feelings and thoughts that you actually have just because you're afraid of them calling you a racist? It's like that gives them all the power then. So all they got to do is call you a racist to stop you in your tracks. You're giving them the power. All they got to do is say you're a sexist, and that trumps anything else you have to say. You're capitulating. You're capitulating out of fear. You're afraid of being called that. And that's where they got you. They got you. All they got to do is say that to you, and they got you. That's how they control you. They control you by labeling you. Don't let them control you.